Now, this will tell us. And that's pretty conclusive. Still going. Close. I think he got it down.
How strong is he?
Welcome back to the Pick and Go podcast, your one-stop shop for all things a rugby union. And once again, in studio, I'm joined by Piri Wipu. Piri, welcome back, bro.
Thanks. Good to be back. I'm actually thawed out after yesterday's efforts at the Sevens competition.
We'll get to that very, very soon. The weather wasn't the best in Wellington on Labour Day Monday, but we'll head up north first so we can get our usual panellist in, Ben Searle of Searle Talk Sports. Searle, welcome back in.
Yeah, cheers, lads. I was actually down in Christchurch for the weekend. Beautiful weather down there. There was a bit of drizzle every so often, but yeah, they call her the Garden City. She's quite nice down there. Rugby team, average NPC team, but a pretty nice city, I've got to say.
Yeah, but don't forget, folks, please send all complaints to Searle. Anyway, back to Piri. You just mentioned the Sevens. How'd that go for you on the weekend? And this was, what was this? The college
sports.
College
Wellington,
sports.
Yep. Sevens just to try and qualify for Condors for seniors, but not only that, we had under 15s tournament. Grade going as well. So yeah, both teams done okay, but not quite to the standard that they would have liked. Congratulations to Hibs for winning it yesterday. I don't think many schools or people would have thought that they had a chance, but if you watch them during the normal season for the 15 side, those boys are pretty fit and they run all day long. So a lot of it come to fruition in the back end or backstage of the competition, and they went up against Scots and were quite victorious. So yeah, it was massive. It was a massive day. Weather was atrocious. I had a jacket ready to go, and then my daughter jumped in the truck, grabbed my jacket, and I was
You had
in a hoodie and t-shirt all day, with nothing to keep me nice and dry from the wet weather. That was So I was soaked all day. Got home. Finally thawed out in the shower, and then pretty much went to lie down with the kids and passed out. Just nice and warm, nice and toasty. My daughter was trying to wake me up a couple of times. I was like, "Just leave, Dad. Just leave me asleep, my mate." But it was a good day. I mean, there was a few schools that showed up that had never played sevens at all, some of the kids. So it was cool to see kids actually give it a crack. It's a different format of the game, sevens. So a bit more space for them to have a crack. And I think if kids actually apply themselves, I think they can actually do really well in that format of the game.
Yeah, nice. A pity the weather couldn't come to the party. I was actually driving yesterday, and I had to slow down to around 60. The rain was that hard. It was very difficult to see 10 meters in front of you. So
I was pissing down that at 9, and I come into the city. It's sunny as I'm
beautiful.
thinking,
Yes, when we got back here, it was
what the hell is going on here? It's like I've left a whole different bloody area.
Usually it's the other way around. It's hosing down here. You travel north. It gets a lot better.
Exactly.
Well, someone who wasn't north, who was down south for the weekend, Searle. Tell us how it went down there for you.
Yeah, it was cool. It was my first time at that stadium. I think it's called Apollo Project Stadium now, but yeah, I hadn't been to that before. Last time I went to a game down in Christchurch, it was the old Jade Stadium days when North Harbour won the Shield off Canterbury off the back of a Viliami Wakasan Duadua masterclass, which I'll never forget. But yeah, it was cool to be down there. The Christchurch fans showed out massively. Place was sold out. The weather held up, and yeah, took a drive past the new stadium as well too. Excited for that to be built. So yeah, it's all go down in Christchurch at the moment.
Well, funnily enough, the last time I was down in Christchurch, it was called Lancaster Park, not Jade Stadium, and Wellington went down to take the shield back off Canterbury. And unfortunately, Bernie Fraser dropped the ball over the line, which would have taken the score to, this was when tries were only 4 points, I think out to 18-0. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, and Canterbury held on. So we'll stick with, not Ranfurly Shield rugby, we'll stick with NPC rugby, though, and there was the big NPC final, and it went to extra time.
How good. 100 minutes.
I think this is the first time ever that two teams have gone to extra time in the same season. Of course, Wellington and Bay of Plenty went to Golden Point in the regular season. I think that game was out at Porirua at Jerry Collins Stadium. In fact, you were probably there.
I was calling it. Sideline.
Sideline. Yeah, back to you, Nisbo.
It was Nisbo too.
So they went to Golden Point in the regular season, and then the grand final. Again, it wasn't Golden Point this time. There were a few people in the stadium who thought it was Golden Point, and when Wellington got the penalty to make it 23-20, they were jumping up and about thinking the game was all done. But no, they played the whole 10 minutes each way, extra time, which I thought was good. But for two teams to be that close together.
We did say after the regular season that this is a game that will probably finish around the same as the round robin. And I mean, it didn't disappoint. You know, obviously the weather disappointed, but for people actually to go along still and support the final, you know, and sort of seeing it live at home, you know, was actually a good game to watch. If you walked away, you missed out on opportunities or that had happened throughout the game, and sort of seeing the ding-dong battle between the two teams was awesome. It was huge.
It was, Searle. There were a number of storylines, to be fair. Jackson Garden Bishop, of course. Richard Watt, former Wellington, former in the Hurricanes coaching squad, now coach of Bay of Plenty, Naitoa Akoi, who was ex-Wellington College player. It had so many storylines, and the game really didn't disappoint. Under trying conditions, both teams tried to play some really good football.
Yeah, they did. This was the game of the weekend for me, for sure. I thought this made the All Blacks game at times look pretty boring. And I don't know if it was to do with the weather as well, which made it so intense. Like, every mistake felt like it could have cost one team the game. There was that much little between the two sides. Then when that clutch nudge by Harkin, I thought this one had every storyline. Again, for me, the biggest takeaway from this was another reminder how du Plessis-Kirifi hasn't worn the black jersey at 27 years old, the quality of player that he is, his work rate, his aggression, his strength, his ability at ruck time. He's so strong with ball in hand and defensively. And the biggest improvement for me, he's always played with so much energy. He's that guy that gets up in your face. He's not afraid to banter with you, but I think his leadership has come along so much both this year and last year in their NPC campaigns. Yeah, how he wasn't in Japan on the weekend and then isn't lacing up in Twickenham this weekend still surprises me, because so many countries would jump at the opportunity to have him at international level. It's not over for him, of course. He can still push his way in, but he has to be one of the best sevens going around in New Zealand by a mile.
I think Wellington supporters should be very, very grateful that he wasn't selected to go over to Japan, because I don't think Wellington win that game if he's not there. He played the whole 100 minutes. He never looked like slowing down for any part of that game. He was in amongst it all. And as Searle said, Piri, I think his leadership has matured over the last season or two. He really has stepped up as a true leader of that Wellington team.
Yeah, you can sort of hear it in his interviews after games. And the way that he talks about the team and trying to get the best out of his players. I think there was that snippet of the semi-final where where he was mic'd up and he talked about this is the championship. We got 3 minutes of being champions here. You know, sort of trying to encourage his teammates to get the job done and finish it. But yeah, for 100 minutes to be pretty consistent and being a menace is exactly what you want as a 7. Like, he's trying to get over the ball, misses his opportunities, but what he's doing is he's sort of slowing the speed of the game so that his defence can get set and that the boys can actually fly off the line and try and make strong tackles behind the advantage line. And it's been huge. You know, obviously he came back from his jaw injury, and it's like he never really stopped playing. To be honest, the energy he brought back from injury onto the field and into the environment. Obviously, he would have been there throughout the course of it. But I mean, when he finally got his opportunity to be back amongst the boys on the field, you know, it showed that it meant a lot this year. I know that their theming was about unfinished business. So after last year, and it's just a continuance of the efforts that they started last year, and finally they got the opportunity to get the job done this year.
Shirley, Piri just mentioned defence, and there was some massive goal line defence from both sides. And I think it just showed how much this game meant to both. They really wanted it. And in the end, it was a shame that there was a team that came out on the losing side, but that defence was huge for both teams.
Yeah, I think there was that period right at the end of the first period of extra time where Bay of Plenty must have held the ball for 5 or 6 minutes. It felt like they got through some phases, they worked their way right up the field, and Wellington just looked comfortable the whole time despite being under so much pressure. And I think it's a real testament to Wellington. I obviously wanted Bay of Plenty to win, but when you look at the amount of players Wellington have lost throughout the season, whether it be to All Black selections, losing a guy like Peter Lakai, who's been a part of that team all year, and then being down to hookers where they have to have Hooker Elliott come in and play some quality and valuable minutes off the bench as well. Bay of Plenty were probably at, 95% full strength. You could argue Wellington were at 60 or 70%, but the depth in their squad, their ability to just have that next man up mentality, and it's just a testament to the system that they've got down there at the moment. They've been so consistent over the last few years in terms of being one of the top teams every year in the comp as well. So I think Welly are deserved winners, and I think we saw in that patch right before that first period of extra time finish just how much they wanted it. And there's no doubt Bay of Plenty wanted it too, but Wellington just looked so comfortable under so much pressure, which is a sign of a really good team.
Julian Severe, it looked like he had turned the clock back 5 or 6 years. He scored tries on both sides of the field. He popped up on the left-hand side, popped up on the right-hand side. He looked very, very good.
Yeah, I think he's just been chipping away at it slowly, and his work ethic off the ball, like you said, scoring a meat pie on both sides of the field shows that he was definitely hungry, but bumping people off in the process, and carrying people over the try line as well, is what we've seen in the past of Julian, and then obviously on the weekend, he proved that he's still got it. The bus has still got it.
He's a bus that doesn't stop to pick passengers up. He just bowls them out of the way. And you saw that certainly for his second try where I think he had to burst through a couple of tacklers and in the end made it look fairly easy. That was very, very impressive. For Bay of Plenty, Searle, Imoni Narawa scores a try. Not the sort of try that we would usually expect to see him score, but a very, very valuable try. And, of course, Aidan Ross, who reached out and initially was denied the try, but on replay, it definitely was a try.
Yeah, I felt sorry for the ref. I think first try, he sent it up as a try, it got ruled out, or the other way round, sorry. He said no try, it was a try. Then the other one, he says try, and it was a no try. I was like, geez, he's going to be a little bit rattled here. But there were some massive performances for Bay of Plenty. Their prop, is it Kumaroa? he went through about 90 of the 100 metres, and he was just so solid both at set piece time and ball running. I thought he was massive. He looks like a young lad. He's a big body, and I wasn't sure he was going to have the engine on him to go the distance, but that's a massive knock from your starting prop. I thought multiple players really put their hands up. Koi just rips into everything. There were a couple key minutes where maybe their skill set or the fatigue got the better of them, but yeah, they're a quality team, and I was stoked to see them in the final. They're still chasing that first win in about, 50-odd years, so I do feel a little sorry for them. No doubt it's a hoodoo that weighs heavy on them, but at the same time, they're not exactly an old squad, are they? They've got a lot of talent in there that'll still be going around for a couple more years, so if they can stick together, they'll well and truly be in the mix again next year. They look like a team that really wants to win it, that this competition means a lot to them, which should hold them in good stead.
Searle's right. Bay of Plenty won the very first NPC ever back in 1976. That has been their only win. However, if we look at Wellington, this is their first home NPC final win after having 4 attempts previous to this. So if we look at that, and then we look at the fact the All Blacks have struggled at the Tinny House, but they did beat Australia, albeit not a very good Australian team, earlier this year. And now that Wellington have finally won an NPC final at home, this was their 5th go. They've lost the previous 4. They've now won NPC final at home. Here's the question, and I didn't actually put this down for you guys. Is the curse of the Tinny House finally over? Have Wellington and the All Blacks dispelled that now, Piri?
What years were those other 4?
What, the 4 losses?
Yeah.
I had it.
It was Piri in all 4 of them, or 3 or 2.
I was in a few. I think I might have been in a couple of those.
How many of those were you part of? Oh, no.
I think we had that run with John Plumtree and that. I think we had about between 4 to 7 opportunities to, I think it might have been roughly around that, if we include the Super Rugby as well. But I wouldn't say. I think we just didn't quite finish those opportunities when we did have those games at the Cake Tin, or the Tinny House, I should say. But I think what this team this year had was a continuance of last year, and being able to get over that hurdle of finishing at the top. Not only that, being one of the favourites to actually win the competition, and then show it through the quality of footy that they've played from the very first game with the NPC. And then not only that, some of them weren't easy as well, because I think there was a few. I think it was Taranaki, Manawatu, and Bay of Plenty, I think, where they got off to really bad starts, and they had to sort of claw their way back into the game and showed that they can actually do it if they stick to their processes. And I think this year had proven that they were the team that was that they were able to do it. Have you found it yet? Or?
No, I haven't. But I know I had a look at it last week, and
I was captain of one.
I'm pretty sure there was a 2008.
Yes. Against Canterbury.
Yes.
We think we lost by 1 or 2 points.
I think there was a 2003, something like that.
Yeah.
That's fine.
My first year in the NPC.
Yeah, I was going to say you would have been young.
I think we've found the curse.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because maybe it's not the stadium, it's Piri, because he said he watched that game at home in the lounge live. So the fact he wasn't there, maybe just when he's in the vicinity, it gets the boys a bit spooked.
Someone that was a bit more starting to present the trophy to whoever won it. They didn't want Royard with gumboots presenting the cup and the medals. So good work there by not picking me.
Funnily enough, Hoary Bop was there, not in gumboots and jandals. In fact, no, he might have even been in bare feet. And it was good to see him right down at the front, because everyone else was moving up towards the back underneath the cover. Not Hoary Bop. He was right down the front at the sort of along the rails there, cheering on Bay of Plenty. So it was great to see him there. But if we look at the match, the turnover battle, Wellington won that, and that was crucial. And obviously, Karifi was a big part of that. If we look elsewhere, we look at extra time, and the young fella, Callum Harkin, comes on with about, 13 minutes to go in extra time, and then gets presented with the penalty goal. The pressure on him must have been massive, and he slotted it over like it was nothing really. He looks like he's got a big future ahead of him, Searle.
Yeah, it's not an easy situation to be thrown into. You sub straight into the game. It's like a hooker. I always feel sorry for them whenever they get subbed on line out time. They're either on their own goal line or in a position to score a try. It's your first throw, and they're just like, damn, what a stitch up. So, yeah, well done to the bloke. To be fair, he probably didn't think it was going to be the game-winning kick because there was still more time to go, and in a way, that's probably a blessing as well. But, yeah, he iced it, struck it really well, looked like it went over the black dot. And it's not an easy scenario to be thrown into. He looks young, looks like he's got a good temperament for it, so no doubt has a big future. And again, it's just a testament to that depth that the Lions have. Like, yeah, they just seem like they've got a group of 30 to 35 guys that are all ready to go if they're thrown into those situations.
Piri, I guess one last look at that NPC final. If you look at it, I guess give us your man of the match.
Ooh.
Or your player of the day from both teams.
Player of the day, I would go with for Wellington. It's actually kind of like a joint one, really.
Yeah,
be the skip and Riley Higgins. And then for Bay of Plenty, I'd probably say Kumeroa for me, because although a lot of his stuff that he does doesn't really sort of
doesn't get the highlight reel.
Yeah, but the effort, like Searle said, the effort wasn't just him. It was actually Numia and also Lawaki played long minutes. They played right up until the first half of the overtime. But for props to play for that such a long period of time, and that game wasn't slow. It was still it was quite intense. So for him to play 90 minutes, and then I thought that the substitutes that came on still did a pretty good job to give them an opportunity. But yeah, for me, for Bay of Plenty would be Kumero, just because of his work ethic, his set piece. He was pretty solid defensively as well for Bay of Plenty. And I thought Riley, his energy, option taking, utilising his big right foot, got Wellington out of the down the right end of the field and out of trouble. And then we obviously touched on Dupes and his energy. I think I heard Nisbane, they're talking about Johnson from Bay of Plenty, but I think Dupes might have outplayed him. And they mentioned him, and then Dupes literally just had done something straight after they mentioned his name, and then all the conversation was about the effort that Duplessis Karifi was doing off the ball.
Searle, for you?
Yeah, I think a lot of the names have been mentioned. Kumeroa for me for Bay of Plenty. Duplessis, Loaki was really good too. I actually enjoy watching Preston play at halfback too. He's just got that bit about him. He looks like a competitor, eh? He's just into everything. He doesn't stop talking. You can hear him through the TV screens. His support play is great, and his fundamentals are really good too. So, yeah, I enjoy watching him play behind like guys like TJ and that as well. There's some talent down there in the Wellington region for your nines. But yeah, like Piri said, Riley Higgins, guys like that. I think all the key players stood up and played really well, which is exactly what you need.
Righty-ho. What?
I'll tell you what else was a highlight.
What?
Was the mascot race.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about the mascot race. So they had the NPC mascots there. I don't think they had every single one,
I think they had most of them, even some of the Heartland,
yes.
mascots as well.
I know they had some of the Heartland because one of the Heartland mascots actually won.
He was a player. He was a winger for the Wanganui team, 100%.
No, we've got breaking news. Very we put tell Searle.
He's actually our loose forward from Wellington College.
What?
But he's pretty rapid. Like, he's quick. I've seen him run around a few of our backs.
What? So he was just an import on the day?
So obviously they didn't have enough people to come down to be involved in the race, like the actual mascots. And so we got asked to see if there was anyone interested in being in the mascot race. And then
this isn't on. This should be front page of the Herald.
Exactly.
Half of the mascots were actually students from Wellington College.
He wasn't the who else? Who else?
Our hooker. Yeah. Our hooker was Leo the Lion. He got laid out by one of our other boys.
Oh, so that was an inside job, a couple mates, because that started the chaos, really.
And then the Seagull, the Auckland Seagull, that was my halfback.
Oh.
15. Obviously, he knew that he wasn't going to win it, so he just shot the gap. We had one of our second 15 or third 15 wingers. I think he came in second to our to the butcher.
Who was he? Was he the? Now hold on. If you're a mascot, usually you've got to have like the full gears on, sort of. But some of them had like just the rugby uniform and then like a mask.
Well, the butcher, all he was wearing was an apron and a fake cleaver. He was barefoot. He was in full playing kit, ready to go.
Yeah, where were the gumboots? A butcher always wears gumboots. He didn't have gumboots. He had bare. Did he have bare feet?
He did.
That's kind of ruined my weekend. I thought that was a genuine bloke from Wanganui, and I figured it was a winger from their team, and he's gone down there and become instant folk hero in Wanganui, but this is chaos.
I'll claim it.
I can't believe mainstream media haven't picked up on this, and this is blasted all over the internet.
If Paddy Gower isn't doing a half an hour special on it this week, then there's something wrong.
He's probably having a beer with all of the mascots, right?
Yeah. So, here's a picture of all the boys.
Oh, so they've put it on social media too. This is lazy journalism.
Show the camera.
I've put it on our Facebook, bro.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's an inside job.
Wow. I didn't think that we'd be breaking news on the pick and go, but
how good is it though?
I tell you what, there's a lot going on. There's the US election, but then there's this for me. This is the biggest story of the week.
Correct. Yeah. Wow.
You're probably just gutted that Harbour Heat didn't win anything.
Mate, I think we came last, or we were out the back, but now I know it was probably your reserve prop or something. So
I know none of those boys put their hand up.
So
there's the butcher.
Oh, no wonder he. Where's the?
He's an athlete. He was a big boy and he could move.
Wow!
Oh, so good.
There needs to be an investigation. This is incredible. We better move on because
but clip that up. That needs to be known.
It needs to be. It does. We got to move. I can see Searle. He's very angry.
Oh, don't worry. The commentators were saying that he looked like a bloody athlete too.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, yeah, little do you know that's our flanker.
Let's move on to another question before Searle leaves us, just turns off the record and goes. He's not happy. Right. Because the final went to extra time. Oh, boy. I heard a wee bit of feedback there. Anyway, because it went to extra time, should we change how we decide who wins after a game is tied after extra time? So in this case, Wellington got a penalty in extra time, held on, and they were the winners. However, if the scores were still tied at the end of extra time, the first tiebreaker after that was the team that scored the most tries in the game.
That's so rough.
I don't think that's very fair. Which means Wellington would have won because they scored 3 tries to 2. The tiebreaker after that was the team that won the game in the regular season between the two teams, which again, Wellington would have won that because they won in Golden Point in the regular season. Searle, can you think of a better way to decide a final or a semi-final than the who scored most tries in thing or who won the game between the two teams in the regular season?
Well, we saw the mascot race, so how about we take the captain's run and turn it into a literal thing where it's full time. At the end, you get the 2 captains, they start on the goal line, they have a race, the winner of that sprint race wins the game and wins the NPC. So you got Brad Shields up against Kurt Eklund, 100-meter sprint, winner of that is the winner of the competition.
What happens if it's a prop and a back?
So you got to pick your captain wisely. So you've got to go into the game thinking that too. So Kurt Eklund could be your captain, but he's not listed on the team sheet as captain. Amoni Narawa or Leroy Carter is, just in case it goes down to the wire. So that way you're giving guys opportunities to stand up as well, show some leadership.
Or that co-captaincy. There's quite a few people that teams that have co-captaincy.
No, but if you go co-captain, it becomes a baton relay, and you got to pass your boot to the next player.
He's thought about this. He's definitely thought about this.
I actually like this, and I agree with him. Once you get to the knockout stages of the competition, your captain would still be the same captain. You just wouldn't list him as your captain. You'd be listing the fastest player in your team as captain.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, some guy who might not make the team sheet each week actually becomes your captain because he's rapid. He used to be a 100-meter sprint champ in the local athletics competition, and all of a sudden he finds himself playing in the final, first game of the year, just in case it goes to extra time.
Like the Wellington College flanker, he would be captain. Piri, you got a different way? You want like a...
No, I prefer just to go to Golden Point.
Just Golden Point.
Yeah, I don't know about the coin toss. You'd have to figure out, like, maybe to start the Golden Point that you've got to have your fastest player try and get to the ball at halfway to see who gets the ball first.
Oh,
as opposed to a coin toss, at least make it 50-50 that way, so that you get even if you have to dive on it to get the ball in and win. As soon as your sprinter gets it, it's play on.
That's sort of like one of those surf life-saving races on the beach where they start
beach
flying
flags
down and then bang, they both going to get the flag at the end of it.
Or there's the like Heineken Cup final where you take penalty kicks with different people.
Now I really like that.
Yeah, Paulie's a big fan. He's voiced this before.
I love this.
That's what he really wanted to say.
That's exactly what I want. Sure, play extra time, not Golden Point, extra time. But if it's still tied after that, then we have a penalty shootout and you start number against number. So 15 against 15, regardless of whether they've gone off and been subbed, doesn't matter. 15 against 15. The first five kickers, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, right? If they're still tied after that, then you go sudden death. So then 10, 9, 8, until you get down to, I love this. We could get down to the number 3s, the number 2, number 1.
If I've got Ben Tameifuna in my team, I know we're going to win because he can definitely goal kick.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's nudged a fair few, hasn't he?
Yeah, he slots them from the sideline looking at the boys like, sorry about it. So I'll be hoping there's someone like him's in my team because I know...
Well, maybe you could get to pick what numbers you throw up and they have to match you. So you're going to say, I'm going to throw up my number 1 here and just win it straight out because I know their prop can't kick.
Go alternate. So maybe home team gets first pick. Okay, we're going to put our number 1 up. So you want their number 1 has to go up. Boom. Still the same. Okay. Then the away team gets to pick. We're going to put our number 6 up. You're going to match them.
I think Cardiff were in it one year with and they had Portero in the team, and I think I'm not sure if
Who, the Fish?
yeah, I'm sure Fish was part of it one year when he was playing over in Wales. I think the Cardiff Blues got into the final, and it was a penalty shootout. You're going to look it up now, aren't you?
I've got to have a look at
What
this.
have I started?
Away he goes, eh?
You can look it up, and you can tell us next podcast. So.
Right. Well, I know that New Zealand Rugby listen to this podcast, so they'll be taking all these suggestions on board.
Surely they've tuned out by now after our suggestions. Shit.
Well, we'll find out, because next year, if there are any changes made to the extra time rules, we'll know who they listen to the most. Piri, Searle, or me. Righty-ho.
Hang on, wait, you didn't say anything. We suggested it, and then you just jumped off the back of it. So
Yeah, but his excitement, when he jumped out of his seat when you said the goal kicking comp.
Oh, yeah. Love the goal kicking. Right. Let's move on to the All Blacks now and have a look at the Japanese test. And look, at the scoreline would suggest it was it was a one-sided game, and it was comfortable for the All Blacks. Was it 64-19? But if you look at it, there were some very, very quiet patches within that game where the All Blacks just looked a wee bit clunky, and maybe at first test sort of after the NPC, you could expect that. And, of course, they had players sort of coming in who weren't initially selected. But overall, Searle, you're happy with the way that the All Blacks went?
Yeah, I think over the 80 minutes, we probably played about 35 minutes of good rugby that the coaching staff will be really happy with. Obviously, a good lead at half-time. There were periods still in that first half where we struggled, especially at the start. I thought, hang on, Japan could be into this, but luckily the All Blacks got into their work, and once they did, they started to look really good. Once we found our rhythm, we were by far the better team. But yeah, shortly after half-time, once we started to roll the subs, I thought we lost a lot of our structure and shape. We still tried to play at speed, but it got really messy and inaccurate, and it looked like we were just throwing offloads at will because we could. We lost our structure, and we went away from trying to break them down more into just spreading the ball wide, high tempo, lots of errors. And it just got a bit boring, to be honest, for a period there where I kind of lost a bit of interest for large phases of that game, which was a bit unfortunate. There were some really strong individual performances still, some players that probably didn't do themselves many favours. But overall, you bank it. It's a big win. Looks good on the score sheet and on your march. No big injuries from that either, so it ticks a lot of boxes. But yeah, I don't know, maybe a 6 out of 10 overall. Maybe that's a bit harsh, but...
Piri, if you look at the game, it did sort of meander along for, good parts of it, to be fair. But the All Blacks, in the end, were too good, and they should have been. The defence, was that a wee bit of a worry, letting Japan in for 3 tries and letting them score the first try? Very good try, too.
I don't think there's too much to worry defensively. I think that they just didn't anticipate Japan to be sort of that good early in the game. I think we've sort of been quite slow previously in our tests to start a game, and usually that's an opportunity for most teams to try and get the water over the boys. And so I think the Japanese, come up pretty strong at the start, and then tried to continue with that pressure, and obviously by the back end of that first half, it took a toll on them a bit. But I felt we did all right. We just didn't quite execute everything in the second half, like Searle said, especially around making our subs. It was good to see a few debutants over the weekend and finally get the opportunity. I think it was awesome that we got to see Peter Larkai. I mean, there was huge reps about him. He probably should have been. Everyone probably thought that he should have been selected earlier on. Ruben's obviously been there as well, and had his opportunities to be involved in the environment, so finally got his opportunity. But I mean, like, you know, for them to roll the subs, you know, that's probably just a concern where they need to make sure that with their subs, they have to make sure they got the right ones that can bring a bit more energy, speed the game up, but still have that accuracy. But yeah, I'm probably a little bit like Searle on this one, probably about a 6, maybe 6.5.
Searle, we talked about this last week, and we thought there's an opportunity for some players to put pressure on incumbents, and there's the chance for incumbents to step up and go, hold on, no, this is my position and I deserve it. One of the ones we did talk about was Billy Proctor, and this was his opportunity to say to Scott Robertson, look, I think I deserve another go against one of the big teams on this Northern Tour. How did you think Billy went?
Yeah, I reckon he's a silky player. Runs really nice lines, got a good skill set, puts his outsides in nice positions. He's a bit more of a ball player than Rico for me. But there were a couple moments too where defensively I thought he got gassed a couple times by a few fast Japanese outside backs, which he'd probably be a little disappointed in. There was one in the last maybe 15 minutes which led to a line break, and luckily Damien McKenzie, he had a real mixed bag of a game, Damien, but he made some big one-on-one tackles at the back which saved tries as well, and that occasion was one of them. I'm a big fan of Billy Proctor. I think the way he plays his wingers into space is elite. So, yeah, it was probably a 7 or an 8 out of 10, to be honest. There were just a couple moments defensively where I think Rico, with his speed, I think that's a really underrated part of Rico playing at centre, is just how quick he is. No one gets around him. And I thought Billy got gassed a couple times there, but overall it was a really solid shift. And I thought Anton Leonard-Brown at 12 was outstanding. And I like that combination of Anton and Billy, because Anton plays a bit like an older head. He squares people up, he sticks to the structures, and I thought once he went off in the game, we kind of went a bit Rasley without him there as well.
Yeah, but I wasn't sure if Billy was trying to rush up on defence. I know the part of the game that you're talking about, Searle, where he got stepped by that opposition, and they made that break down the field, and McKenzie made a good defensive tackle. And I wasn't sure if Billy was trying to rush up and cut him off, or whether he was just caught out slightly. But there's a few things for him to work on. But when he had ball in hand, he looked very, very good.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he'll take a lot of experience out of that and build on it.
Could you really, like, it's like, obviously it's Japan, but like, it would be good to actually see him go up against teams like England, France, you know, the nations that world class, and for us to actually see the potential in him, he needs to be playing up against teams like that.
That's the thing, though, right? Guys like him, they might not get a go again until the last game against Italy, which still leaves a massive question mark in your mind about whether he can perform against the best teams at international, just because he doesn't get the opportunity to, unless there's injuries, right? We can't really see him as much as people say it. It's going to be Rico at 13, right?
Exactly. So it's tough for us to say he done a 7 out of 8 when you're playing against teams like Fiji and Japan. For us to actually get a better gauge on whether he's one of our potential players to slot into 13, he needs to be playing up against the likes of like Ireland, England, South Africa, you know, teams that actually put a lot more pressure on us to make decisions. And in terms of, like, on defence, you know, Conrad was never the fastest. He got skinned a couple of times too out on that in that space, but
not often.
But what he did do was he made good reads, because he knew that he wasn't the fastest centre, so he had to make sure that whatever call he made, it was accurate, and that was the beauty of Conrad, was he was able to make good calls. Tough calls, but good calls to stop players getting on the outside of him or even beating him on the inside. And because he knew that he wasn't the fastest centre in the world. And so if anyone did try and have a crack on him on the outside, he knew that he was going to get skinned. So he had to make sure that he knew his role and how important it was that if he made a call, it had to be on point so that there was no opportunity for them to get over the advantage line. And I think Billy's still finding his way at that level. I still think he's definitely world class when it comes to Super Rugby, NPC. I just don't think he's been tested enough in that centre role for him to get a decent look in.
Well, it'd be very interesting to see if he does indeed get one of the big test matches on the Northern Tour.
Hopefully.
So that we can, he gets the opportunity, but we also get to see, is he up to that standard right now, or is he still sort of learning a few things? Because at the moment, we're still not really sure.
Exactly. So for him to get I reckon if he gets an opportunity over this India tour, playing up against some of those big nations, it'll be a good opportunity.
We'll stick with you, Piri. Cam Royard, a wee bit of a rusty start for him, which is understandable. He hasn't had a lot of top-level football for a while now, but the more he got into the game, the better he looked.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the ones that sort of takes his time so that he can see opportunities. Obviously, it was awesome to see him back playing NPC, just to sort of stretch the lungs, to see if he's able to start over the weekend. But yeah, obviously he took his time getting into things, but he's definitely one of the ones that, everyone wants to make sure that he's on point, and he didn't disappoint. Coming back from that massive knee injury, and in the same year that he's actually come back and was pretty solid. I thought that he played a pretty good game. I know he loves to score a meat pie, and I think he was there was that one opportunity where he just got pulled short, but I mean, you can see that he wanted it. But his physicality, and he's fast, physical, and I think that's what we've sort of been. That's probably what stood out the most, because I know when Aaron was around, he was get to the breakdown, get the ball away to from the breakdown as quick as possible, but then also his pass was electric, putting guys into space, poking his head around the corner, working off his runners and picking holes and putting the boys into that space is huge. So this is totally different. His pass is pretty good as well. Cam, I'm not saying that it's not good, but I mean, he's got a different dynamic in terms of the way that he plays, and I think with the way that they're running with the attack at the moment, I think it's right up his alley.
Searle, if you want to touch on Royard, go ahead. But also, if you look at the forward pack, who was the standout for you there?
I had a couple names that jumped to mind. I think Wallace Atiti again was outstanding. I love seeing the way he runs onto the ball, the lines he picks to run, his footwork late just to put himself into space. Like every chance he's got now at any level, NPC, Super Rugby, International, he just seems to rise to the stage of the occasion. And I thought he was great in his preferred position of 8 there. Yeah, he's a freak, and I'm excited to watch him continue to develop. I thought Patrick Tuipulotu was really good as skipper, scored that try, he still had a bit of work to do, to be fair, but he was just physical and brought that leadership that we needed at times. And then I thought Samipeni Finau was really good too. He was at his bruising best. We mentioned you wouldn't want to be the Japanese first 5. Well, he got him. And a few people were saying maybe it was late, but that's the way he plays. But I think in the loose forward trio where Wallace is your ball runner, Sam Cane's doing all the hard yards, that suits Samipeni so well, where he can just really focus on his defense and doing that physical stuff, because he was hitting hard all game long. Those were the real standouts for me. I enjoyed what Tossi did as well. As to Mighty Williams, I enjoyed that front row, just how big and how versatile all 3 of them are. But yeah, I thought the forward pack went pretty well, but those were the main 3 for me.
Piri, your pick of the forward pack for the All Blacks?
Hoskins. Oh, not Hoskins. So Tutu, he was definitely one of them. And I felt like, although it is Japan, I thought Suffolk did really well coming back and sort of seeing the style of footy that we've seen in the past with him. Bumping people off, fending people off, and just being a menace as well. I know it might have been one or two errors at line-out, I think it might have been. But, I mean, other than that, those two are probably my two standouts.
Righty-ho. Before we move on to have a brief look at the All Black England test, we've got a Wainui whisper from Piri.
No, I thought I had it last week, but the man was in Japan. And then it come from the
Dane Coles.
Yeah, they come from the back benches, and then the bro Hicka come into to the fold, which was actually pretty cool to see the bro Hicka get a crack on the weekend. I know he probably wasn't expecting it, but listening to his interview after the game, he got a phone call on Sunday, and I think he's part of the Heartland team too.
He played for South Canterbury, didn't he?
In the Heartland 15.
And now he's been selected for the Heartland 15.
So good to see the old.
It just shows it's too easy for him, Undefeated, 1 from 1. He can still do it, mate. And no doubt he was telling the boys that post-game, this stuff's easy, mate.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what you talked about hookers coming in and their first throws under pressure.
Yeah.
Felt like he'd been... I would definitely know that the throwing's not a downfall for him. And when he did come on, I saw him sort of go looking for work and getting amongst it, being at the breakdown and, doing what he usually does and just, trying to be either a menace tackling or trying to jackal or slowing the ball down. But no whispers this week. That was my one whisper that Colsey was going to be coming in after we found out that the HIA was a fail, and they wouldn't want to bring a club rugby player who hasn't played any footy for a while. So
For a grand final.
for a big game like that, but no whispers this week, bro.
Righty-ho. All Blacks England, Sunday morning our time?
Yeah.
I think kick-off around 4 a.m. in the morning. There are some more reasonable kick-offs for most of the other test matches on the Northern Tour, but at the moment, the bookies have opened up England, $2.25 outsiders. The All Blacks $1.60. All Blacks are a 3.5 point favourite at the moment, and the game total set at 52.5. As we talk about this early on a Tuesday morning, neither of the two teams have been named, so it's very, very hard to, get an accurate sort of view of how this test match is going. But is there anyone that you want to see selected for the All Blacks to see them have a go here?
I think we'll go back to that number 115 that Razor and the team think they've worked out. So I don't think there's going to be any crazy surprises here. I am keen to hopefully finally see that 9-21 combo of Cortez and Royard, because I think that's going to be the 1-2 punch that we have for the next 5 or 6 years, and I think the way they play could really complement each other perfectly too. So in whatever order, I think on the weekend that suggests that Cortez will start this week because he got the week off, and then we could see Cammy Royard off the bench, but I'm excited to see those two pair up. I think we'll have the usuals, your Bodie at 10, Will Jordan at 15. I think they've shown now that that's the combination with Damien off the bench. I expect it to be a pretty similar lineup to what we saw in the last All Blacks performance against Australia, and I was a little surprised that we opened up at $1.60 favourites just because it's over on their turf, but at the same time, this is England's first hit out for this period, so we get the pleasure of coming in with some established combinations. Now we've had a few games under our belt, and it's almost the reverse of when we played them earlier in the year. We were fresh up, now they're fresh up, so let's see how it plays out. I can't wait for this. All Blacks England at Twickenham, it doesn't get much bigger than that.
Piri, for you, anyone you really want to see wearing the black jersey on Sunday morning?
I think it kind of speaks for itself, really. But
Searle mentioned the halfback battle, Royard and Ratima. Who do you want to see starting?
Well, I thought Cortez had a pretty outstanding, run when he was there, and so I think it'll be good for him to get the opportunity to start, and then Cam come in and finish. We've seen what he's been like when he has come onto the field from the sideline, and the energy that he can bring and his skill set. So it'd be good if it's the other way around, where, like Searle said, Cortez potentially getting that opportunity to start with Cam either coming on, but maybe Bodie at 10 to sort of, I know they don't know whether he's going to be 10 or 15 at this stage, but it'll be interesting to see which way they go, whether they go with D-Mac and try and continue with that, or whether they go with Bodie and bring D-Mac off the bench to sort of bring that punch that he did. I think it was against Australia, where he come off the bench and he was he was pretty rapid. So yeah, probably Bodie at 10.
Searle, the loose forward trio will be an interesting makeup. Do they stick with Satiti in the number 8 and then have Xavier in the 7? Or do they give Satiti a wee bit of a rest, start Artie at the 8, Sam Cane, as you say, who does a lot of the dog work, just he's everywhere. And that allows players who've got that flair, like Finau, like Xavier, to sort of do their thing as well. So what does that loose forward trio look like for you?
I think they'll go back to what it was against Australia with Satiti at the 6. I think they'll go Sam Cane at the 7 and Artie Xavier at 8. I think when Sam Cane moves on, then we might see something a little different, and I'd still love to see like a Samipeni Finau at 6 with Artie at 7 and Wallace at 8. I think that would be really bruising, but I think for now we'll see that same trio from up against the Wallabies. The interesting one for me is the makeup of the bench. Blackadder and Jacobson going to be back and healthy and ready to go. Does Samipeni Finau get that spot? Because it is pretty hotly contested there. We've heard Dalton's coming home, so he's ruled out of it. Peter Lakai must be staying on. So yeah, there's a bit of competition for that kind of 19-20 jersey, which is really important. We've seen how important that is off the bench to be able to close out games. So that's more the makeup for the loose forwards. That's more interesting for me.
Right, we're going to. It was a brief look at the test. Is there anything else you want to mention about that test match against the English this weekend, Piri, before we move on to a wee bit of betting?
They would have already named the teams. They would have named them today. Tuesday's usually the day that we name the squads, but they just don't tell the media until Thursday.
It was interesting, though, last week, right? Because they released it on the Tuesday for the Japan game, which was a bit like, oh, is this just that you're not worried about Japan? Because they always say it so the opposition team doesn't prepare, but the other team finds out who's in the team anyway. I'd love for them to do like a team naming Tuesday like they do in league so that we can talk about these selections and these matchups. Otherwise, you're just guessing. And like you said, Piri, like everyone knows on a Tuesday morning whether you're in the team or not. It always gets leaked. So why not just control the narrative, name it yourself, and then we can start to get excited about some matchups.
Yeah, just build. Like if you do what the leagueies do, they know how to build up a game. Especially state of O, tests, things like that. It's the talking point not just for like 24, 48 hours, and then the test happens. Like everyone gets excited that we're going to play England. It's going to be a tough one, but it'll be good to know on a Tuesday, like when they name the team, who's going to be involved from 1 to 23, and that way we can all start getting excited to watch the progress from there. At the moment, you sort of wait till Thursday morning, and you're like, oh yep, like you try to get super excited, but I think for fans, I think it should be the same sort of thing as us as players, that we get excited. Monday's our first day back on the job, where we go to work and focus on the team that we're playing that week, and then Tuesday obviously we get our opportunities to get the menu right, but it builds energy, and like I think everyone should have that same feel as the players. They're like, on Tuesday we know who the squad is. Okay, let's start building as fans into this big ass test rather than just sort of, because then when you see them on social media, you're just seeing them in the gym. You don't know which one's pushing. They're all pushing tin, but you're like,
Yeah.
So which one of you is actually just like what I was? Make massive noise, but you don't actually push the tin.
but let's start hyping up like a Marcus Smith against Bowden Barrett, like master versus apprentice. You get all these storylines, but now we don't know until Thursday. And then, like you said, Piri, you wake up Sunday morning. It's like you've only known the team for 24 hours, and it's just right there. And you've lost that opportunity. Even like group chats with your mates, everyone's just guessing who's here. But those are the storylines you need. You want to start building these individual battles, even if there isn't a rivalry between the two guys. You can make one just by saying these are the two best players in this position. Let's see them go at it. But we get kind of robbed of that.
People will jump on that straight away. Yes, I agree with that.
Well, rugby could be dominating the sports sort of world, especially early on in the week when there's not a lot of other stuff going on. They could be dominating all those headlines and that if they announce the teams, and then commentators, fans could all be having their say about what they think about the matchups, what they think about the combinations that the teams have come up with, who they think is unlucky to have missed out. This is all sort of where they could be dominating the sports world. Well, certainly in this part of the world, and yet it looks like they're sort of missing an opportunity there to actually do that sort of thing.
Well, it's the whole build-up. Like the whole build-up doesn't start on Saturday. The build-up starts on like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, building right up until the actual kickoff. Like, with the social media these days, everyone's trying to jump on to see what everyone's or who's doing what, or who's starting in the 23 and who's not. And then you start having conversation about, if I was a coach, I would have picked him. Everyone's like that, but I mean, it creates a good hype and a good vibe around it. And I think, if they let everyone know on Tuesday, I mean, the amount of footage that teams have these days, it doesn't matter who they have in the starting 23. They're going to do their homework on every individual in that team, whether they're starting or not, knowing that this is what this person brings, right? We need to take care of this part. We know who their main ball carriers are. We take care of them. There's nothing else that these guys have got after that. Then that's what we worked on during the week. We knew who the top runners were, ball carriers were for Australia, South Africa, England. We had to make sure that we met them before they got to the advantage line. And by us doing that was, we looked at their footage. That's how us as fans now trying to engage with the team and go on this journey of, okay, prep starts Monday. Okay, what do we got? Ooh, there's got to be a few conversations on selection. I wonder, I might try and do my starting 15 for the England game, and see if I can compare it to how close I was making the selection. And it starts building. The anticipation starts building right from there, and then I feel like everyone feels more involved as opposed to the last 24. Oh, see, they should have went to this guy.
It's true.
Isn't that? Hasn't Rassie Erasmus done that with the Springbok team a number of times, where he's named it early on the Tuesday or the Wednesday?
He does it well, and he might make a couple late changes, which is completely fine as well, but you get that 90% shell of the team and what it's going to be. And like Piri said, at that level, you're not surprising anyone. If you name Geordie Barrett at 12 and he's ruled out late because Anton comes in, the other team has done so much research on Anton anyway that they're not going to be like, oh wow, our whole game is thrown out the window now. What a massive advantage to them. Like, they know exactly what each player's strength and weakness is. So it's more that fan engagement piece for me, because there's only so many predicted teams you can listen to on the TV, on the radio up until Thursday. You're just like, okay, I'm sick of this conversation now. I want to know who's actually in the team. So it's surely a Tuesday or a Wednesday at the latest, and then we can all get excited about some of the battles that are going to take place, some new combinations, guys making their debut, all that type of stuff.
Rightio. Let's move on to it's hunch time, and I'll just look back at last week where my hunch was the team that had the least amount of gingers would win the NPC final. Now, I'm not sure if Wellington had the least amount of gingers because they won in extra time, or both teams had the same amount of gingers, and that's why it was a draw at the end of regulation. Anyway, but I think obviously my hunch was on the money again there.
Maybe that could be how they decide the winner, is how many gingers are in the team at the end of extra time.
Did you even have a look at the list and see who was the ginger in the teams?
Well, it's very hard because people dye their hair these days, and so some gingers might be disguised undercover. And you
pretty sure I've never seen a ginger-haired person dye their hair a different color.
Yeah, it doesn't work because they've still got the freckles and stuff. You can tell they're a ginger, mate.
What about the eyebrows? Are they going to dye those too to go with the hair?
I think we better move on from this. This is getting too intense for me. Any hunches today for this week?
Searle, you got anything?
Nah, not really, to be honest. Trying to have a think on the spot.
Oh, same. I told you, I'm no good at this anyway.
Yeah, Paulie, you've got something crazy though, right? How you walked through the rose garden in Wellington, and there was a rose that was wilting in it, and it was because there was a black cloud above it, which means the All Blacks are going to pump England or something. Or did you meet the king? You probably stumbled across the king last weekend or something.
King Kapisi.
Yeah, there we go. That'll count.
He's a new tongue.
I've got nothing either. I don't want. No, I don't. But I'll work on something for next week. Something will pop up.
I told you, I'm not after my first one. That's it. I don't want to put any people at risk.
But I think that we've shown you at the beginning of the podcast, the Piri Wipu curse has been broken on the Tinny House. Wellington have now won NPC final there. The All Blacks beat Australia earlier this year.
I told you it wasn't because of me. It's because they had a good squad.
So,
they had a good squad. That's why they won.
You're all good now. You can. We'll come back to you next week for a hunch because I'm sure you'll have one. But it's time to do a wee bit of betting, and I'll just have a look back at last week.
I cleaned up, didn't I? Surely.
Let's have a look. Piri, you had 3 bets. ABs to win by 41-50 at 450. It came in.
It's an ass.
You also had Wellington to win by 31-40
Yeah, that was
at $16. That was no good. And then you had Higgins and Preston both to score a try. That didn't come in. So you did make a small profit, and you are now $118.10 for the good this season. Wow, Searle, he's making a big charge here. He had 2 bets, either team to win by under 7.5 in the NPC final at $250, $50 on that. That came in. And then he had Royard to score a try, Mark Talia to score a try, and the ABs to win, $50 on that. And he got a win there as well. He's still in the negatives, but only just. So he's almost into those positives. So a nice weekend for Searle. I had 1 bet. I had either team to win by under 7.5 in the final into the ABs minus 30.5. I had 100 on there. I'm now $1,072.02 up for the season. So looks like Piri's going to have another crazy bet this week to try and catch me. But we'll head to Searle first. Searle, your $100 for this week.
I am going to chuck $80 on the All Blacks to win by 1 to 10 points in the winning margin. 1 to 10, paying $2.90, I believe. And then I'm going to chuck $20 in the game live for Royard to score a try anytime. I'm thinking he's going to come on around the 60-minute mark. You can get some pretty good odds for guys when they come on late like that. I think he's played 8 games so far this year and scored 7 tries. The bloke loves scoring meaties, so I'm going to back him in to score a try with my last $20 on it. But the big one for me is just the 80 on the All Blacks, 1 to 10.
1 to 10 at $2.90. Piri? You want me to go?
Yes.
Okay.
He's cooking something up here. This is going to be special.
He is cooking something up. I'm fairly similar to Searle. I'm not going to go the 1 to 10. I'll go the half full-time double first, and I'll go England to lead at halftime, All Blacks to win. That's paying $7. I'll have $40 on that. And then I'll have the All Blacks to win by 1 to 12 at $2.70. And I'll take that. Now, I'm hoping that this guy starts. I'm going to go Artie Severe to score a try and the All Blacks to win by 1 to 12.
Nice.
That's me.
I'm going to go with halftime, full-time. England to be leading at halftime and the All Blacks to win.
Yeah.
I'll put 50
You can't
on that.
catch me if you're taking the same bet as me.
No, and then
Okay.
the other one is
Yeah.
at full-time, a draw. I'll draw at halftime and draw at full-time.
$81. How much you putting on that?
50.
$50. A draw at halftime, a draw at full time. $81, 50 on. That's 4K back. 4,000.
If it comes in, hey, you never know.
If
See,
it
I'm
comes-
just trying to get out of the negative, but Piri's going from the back fence here. He's got money to play with, though, so it's fair.
Yeah, until I'm if this comes through, then
He's trying to be a Freddie Freeman. Have a
just go
walk-off
put a sneaky
Grand Slam home
might just go
run.
put
Just
Yeah.
knock
50
it
on
out
that
of the park.
actual for real. That draw and a draw.
Righty-ho. That's it for this week. Piri, what are you up to this weekend?
Actually, my daughter's got a volleyball tournament here at Akotangi for her school, and so I've just begun to watch and support her with that.
Where, locally, did you say?
And then finally, sort of got a weekend free, really, where I'm not having to coach or I can sit and actually be a dad and watch my kid.
Golf? No. Fishing?
Oh, not if the kids are bloody playing sports, bro. I can't do
okay.
that.
Right.
Maybe, I don't know. I haven't had a look that far down the week to see whether the weather is good or not. But yeah, I might have to have a nosy on now that you've brought it up, might have to have a nosy on Met Service to see what the 7-day forecast is.
Not good this weekend. I'll give you the tip. Anyway,
It's actually pretty good. It's hissing northerly right now, but I'm pretty sure South Coast is all right for a bit of a splash.
Oh, yeah. Okay, then. Searle, what are you up to?
Got Kiwis versus Tonga at Mount Smart, so looking forward to that. And then I'll be waking up early to watch that All Blacks game as well. But yeah, just another weekend of sport, really.
Beauty.
Are you going to get your red flag out and get...
Yeah. I started the parades last night because I thought the Tongan fans had been a bit quiet, so I drove out there and got the flags out. So yeah, T-gang all day. No. I'm Kiwis. The Kiwis need to win this week, so we're going to bounce back. But look, if Tonga did win, I wouldn't be heartbroken either because yeah, they're an unreal team to watch.
Righty-ho, that's it for this week on the pick.
What are you up to? You always try and...
He's so secretive, eh?
Yeah.
Um,
what are your plans this weekend?
No, not...
No
oh,
mocktails, cocktails,
No.
golf, or...
no.
Still going to the tinny house, just the different one now the rugby's over. He can't say he's going to the tinny house anymore because everyone's like, hey, there's no games there this week.
Okay.
He's been exposed.
Next season back to the tinny house. No, I think I'm going to have a quiet one because it's very, very busy for us next week. It's Derby Day over in Flemington on Saturday, Melbourne Cup next Tuesday. Then it's Oaks Day on the Thursday.
Got us some
What,
tips?
tips?
Yeah, for Searle and I for the...
When does the, Saturday it's confirmed, is it? Sunday?
But the final field is confirmed Saturday night.
Gotcha.
So, yep, the bookies will have the odds out for the final field for the Melbourne Cup on Saturday night, straight up around half an hour after the final field is declared.
All right, so
so
turn your notifications on, Piri. Paulie will be firing
Hopefully.
through his tips.
Well, hopefully I'll have some tips on Tuesday morning next week when we record the pick and go.
Ready.
We'll change the Wainui Whispers to Paulie's whispers.
Paulie's punts, yeah. Paulie's ponies. There we go.
Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, don't follow them. Anyway, thanks everyone for listening to the Pick and Go. Hope you enjoy the All Black Test against England. It looks like it's going to be a huge game and a very, very important game, certainly for Scott Robertson. But we wish the boys all the best, and we'll be back again next week with another edition of the Pick and Go.